I'd like to invite you into a brief extended time of quiet after I give you a couple of words that may give you some images you might want to pull up in your mind. If you could close your eyes if you're comfortable doing that, and either putting your hands facing up if you'd like to connect to the energy in the room, or facing down on your thighs if you'd like to just maintain your own energy flow. And I'd like you to think about those people that are in your circle of love, whether they be in Tampa or in Juneau or in Illinois or someplace up in the thumb of Michigan, or right here close by that you can see most often. And as you gather that circle in and turn it into a heart and have them all stand around, and you can see their faces and you can feel their energy and the love that they give to you and you give to them for support. And as you acknowledge that, possibly with a namaste or a smile, and continue to do that into our meditation, and then have some silence to feel that energy and that flow between you and your love circle in our shared silence together. There is a quiet light that shines on every heart. It draws no attention to itself, though it is always secretly there. It is what illuminates our minds to see beauty, our desire to seek possibility, and our hearts to love life. Without this subtle quickening, our days would be empty and wearisome, and no horizon would ever awaken our longing. Our passion for life is quietly sustained from somewhere in us that is wedded to the energy and excitement of life. This shy inner life is what enables us to recognize and receive our very presence here as a blessing. Our words from John Donahue that many of you are familiar with as a poet. As you open your eyes and return to this space, I hope that some of the connections that you've made here at Cub were part of your heart circle. And today is a perfect day to get to know people at a deeper level, to add them for later. Would you please turn to 576 in your hymnal for the responsive reading? I will start, and then all of you will read the next stanza, including the phrase, "It will not matter." If recognizing the interdependence of all life, we strive to build community, the strength we gather will be our salvation. If you are Black and I am white, it will not matter. If you are older and I am younger, it will not matter. If you are straight and I am gay, it will not matter. If we join spirits as brothers and sisters, the pain of our aloneness will be lessened, and that does matter. Together, in the spirit, we build community and move towards restoration. So the one thing that I forgot to point out to the children is that it's also African American History Month, and we've chosen either poetry or music or over topics that will be sprinkled through the month to acknowledge that. And this poem, some of you may have heard it. It's by Willie Perdomo. Close enough. He doesn't even have a silent G in his name. It's called, That's My Heart Right There. We used to say, that's my heart right there, as if to say, don't mess with her right there, as if don't even play, that's part of me there. In other words, okay, that's the start of me right there, as if come that day, that's the end of me right there. As if push come to shove, I would fend for her right there, as if come what may, I would lie for her right there, as if come to pay, I would die for her right there. One day, and one of you will remind me, I have a wonderful story to tell about toddlers and bubbly. That's just to keep you interested for the future. And to let you know that I'm only drinking water. The topic of love can be as universally appealing and as universally confusing as the topic of God. So many perspectives and experiences, so much is written about love, and so many expectations of how much is right and what kind is right. Today, we're going to look at what Ian writer Bell Hooks refers to as radical love. Love that moves beyond and cuts through the trite and sentimental to a laser focus of stepping beyond our comfort zones and making a choice to put love into action for our individual selves, our communities, and even how we approach the larger perspectives of world events. I want to propose an image here. I wish I still had this sculpture, but imagine a sculpture about 2.5 feet tall, 2 feet tall, of a tall, thin monk with a hooded cloak. We cannot see the face, but the hands are stretched out in front of him, and there's a fragile, blown glass red heart upside down, inverted, an offering, if you will, of a glass inverted heart, a precious offering of a fragile heart for the taking, almost with an attached presumed covenant. Take this heart of mine, but handle it with care, as it is tender and needs to be carefully held. And see that it is inverted because it has gone through so much. Take it on and pass it to those who will understand the promise. This is one image that we can hold when we discuss radical love. Bell Hooks refers to the ethic of love as one that shapes the most powerful aspirations and even political visions. Here, this idea stretches to include our shared longing for an end to what is hurting us. Often, that is the desire that dominates this idea of an ethic of love. In The Art of Loving, Eric Fromm affirms that important and radical changes are necessary if love is to become a social and not just a highly individualistic, you know what I mean, individualized, how's that? marginal phenomena. I want to see how many syllables it takes to trip me up to avoid all those words in the future. Bell Hook uses the concept of this love ethic in her book, All About Love, New Visions. She proposes that we begin by using a formula, if you will, loving oneself as an old axiom, but we continually hear it and practice it. It's not as easy as it sounds. Many of us have gone through the process of critically examining the past, particularly childhood, to chart our internalization of messages that we are not worthy, not enough, we're crazy, we're monstrous, and so on, according to Bell Hooks. Now, Isabella Wilkerson, in her movie Origin, a must see for all of you. You will be blown away. It's at the regular shows. Check it out. Isabella says you don't escape trauma from denying it, but from confronting it. So there's steps in both of those. You confront the trauma, and you might have to relearn again and again and put into practice how you love yourself. Now, there's a point, however, where you might get stuck in this place of retelling and reliving your stories of abuse and pain over and over and over again. That is a big caution. We can move into a foundation of building self-love by actively introducing some new patterns and behavior that are constructive and life-affirming into our lives. Self-recovery is not contingent on remembering every detail of being abused, but it's about finding new ways to concentrate on your self-worth. In the book, 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem, Nathaniel Braden speaks of directions. To live consciously means to seek to be aware of everything that bears on our actions, purposes, values, and goals to the best of our ability, whatever that ability is. And it isn't just a physical ability, it's a spiritual ability, it's an emotional ability, whatever it may be. And then to behave in accordance with that which we see and know. I'm going to throw this in here because Hank, you did such a nice job of explaining your connection to Unitarian Universalism. I remember in 1976, that was a big year for me, that 1976. And I had just heard about Unitarian Universalism, and I took those principles and I overlaid them on everything that I was doing in my life and everyone that I was spending time with. And I did // not going to go there, // not going to spend time doing that. I know some of the pubs in the area suffered greatly from my // but there was time for some changes. And so I held those principles out as my transparency for change. Each of you will have a different story. It's your story, and it continues. When you take responsibility for consciously creating goals, identifying the actions that are necessary to achieve them, and making sure that your behavior is in alignment with those goals, you become aware of a place that you are leading others as well as yourself to go. Some of these actions are going to be automatic, but many will be mindful choices with intention of stretching the definition of love. So, allow me to tell a fairy tale of transformative love here. Now, some of you are going to have your antenna up and you're going to say, oh, I want to hear more. I want to hear more during coffee hour. I want to meet with you during the week and hear more. The purpose of me sharing this is for you to use this for your own process and think of things that have happened in your life that are similar, or other people's stories that have shown transformative love for you. So, the fairy tale. Once upon a time, I knew a young woman who had a passion for life that overflowed and created a world of art and music and passion and sucking the marrow out of every moment of life. The reality of adulting, however, was far too challenging and particularly boring for this damsel. The distress of budgeting for bills and groceries, washing dishes and unheated rainwater, and the monotony of working jobs had forced her to deal with a cavalcade of authoritarians and those who wouldn't pull their weight, causing havoc in her life. The damsel fell in romantic, new age love. It promised pizza, an adventure, and building a life together as an independent couple. The romantic love, however, fell away to desperation of needing too much without an economic foundation. Necessity to sell siding off the house for that new aged love-built house. Too much independence caused too much stress, causing the prince to escape to safety because of the damsel's stress-related mood swings and more. The transformative part of the story comes in as people in that neighborhood responded to the damsel, who had no hot water or food or transportation. The neighbors became the angels who loved someone in their human family with no expectation of anything in return. For every choice that went awry, the neighbors rose to the occasions of helping the damsel until help from afar could arrive. And no, that fairy tale didn't end happily ever after, but it did end transformatively ever after. You have your own examples of radical transformative love all around you. Some of you have been the damsel at one time in your life, or the prince, or the real life angels in the neighborhood. This love that calls you to respond to the needs of those in the human family, beyond bloodline family, are an example of what our old friend M. Scott Peck, working on a definition of love, says: love as the will to extend oneself for the purpose of nurturing one's own or another's spiritual growth. Everyone in our culture desires to some extent to be loving, yet many are in fact not loving. He therefore concluded that the desire to love is not itself love. Love is as love does. Love is an act of will, namely both an intention and an action. Will also implies a choice. We do not have to love, we choose to love. Which, interestingly enough, echoes back to Martin Luther King's declaration of, I have decided to love, also emphasizing choice. Martin Luther King truly believed that love is ultimately the only answer. It won't always, just as prayer won't always get you what you want, but it still is only the answer. To have that courage to speak to the transformative power of love in our progressive circles, it takes courage. Love is not merely sentimental. This is where Cub and other UU congregations can come in and do and step up. We welcome in all the voices in a conversation. No one is dismissed or considered naive. This is a place that opens doors and opens them to all and invites in, opens minds. Love held by respect of one another. Bell Hooks explains that by choosing love, we choose to live not solitarily turning on everything we can and never building into community. I'm sorry that we can't see our Zoom friends today, but it extends to our Zoom friends maybe being at home alone for reasons to protect themselves in health situations, but they're part of our community as well. Not to change ourselves or change others, but to count on a critical affirmation in this dialogue with others who are walking a similar path. As confused as we might be at times, we are walking a similar path with those that are also confused. And we can dialogue about it. Howard Thurman's dedication to diversity in groups highlighted this universal life force held as a location for a building of community. He said, truth becomes true in community. The social order hunger for a center from either spirit or soul or shared values gives identity, power, and purpose. America, with all cultural entities, are in search for their soul. We do what Bell Hook advises, to have joy in the struggle. Boy, do we know how to have joy in the struggle. From working on special projects to taking on social issues, we document the joy. We must continue to document the joy because it's a complete picture of what we do in our life. Life is not only the world news. Life is watching the world news and eating a chicken pot pie and know you can pick out the pieces of chicken and still enjoy all that fat and carbs and say that it's a celebration at your table. Joy is wearing Barbie clothes and having a Barbie event that talks about what feminism has meant to all of us through transformative power of love. Joy is today, having Valentine's Day and the Super Bowl and other things to celebrate with each other. So the love ethic strengthens us by strengthening others. Compassion comes alive by deepening our insight. And so today, to have the Mama's Bailout, this might be the first time you've ever heard of it. And some of you, Unitarian Universalists don't like to be profiled or labeled by astrological signs or Myers-Briggs or Enneagram. However, I'm a sinner because I use all three of those to try to understand myself and others. And so what do we do sometimes as Unitarian Universalists? Because we are asking questions and we're asking deep questions. And sometimes we want to say, well, where does that money for Mama's Bailout go? And what are the stories that we can hear? And I want more about the specifics. And that's why you get to Google it or you get to read the longer handout. Because sometimes you don't want to share your resources until you trust where they are going, and that makes sense. But sometimes we share our resources with those that are part of the human family, not our particular family, but the human family. So Joanna Macy, Buddhist, says you have to have compassion because it gives you the juice, the power, and the passion to move. When you open to the pain of the world, your choice can be to move. It's time to move. If you feel desperate, it's time to act. But that weapon is not enough because it can burn you out. So you need the other. You need insight into interdependence of all phenomena. With that wisdom, you know that it's not a battle between the good guys and the bad guys or the good girls and the bad girls, but the life between good and evil runs through the landscape in every human heart and sways and bends. With those insights of profound interrelatedness, you know that actions undertake with pure intent have repercussions through the web of life beyond what you can measure or discern. Yes. I'm going to share this, the interdependent life of existence of which you are all a part. Some of you and some of us have dealt with big challenging issues with people in our family that we know and love, and sometimes it may have been us at one time or another, or even now. I remember back a long time ago, not 1976 this time, it's 1993. Whoa, moving on that time zone. I was an intern for a large church in studying to become a minister, and my depression quotient went The thing that saved me, the metaphor that saved me, the symbol that saved me, was I knew I was part of the interdependent web of all existence. And if I would have magically disappeared for any reason, that would have had an impact on the entire web. That thought is what saved me. I'm not saying it's the thought that's going to save everyone, but I'm saying that what you do in your life and who you are makes a difference. People aren't just watching, they're feeling. Remember your heart web, your heart image during the meditation? All of those people feel what you are going through to one point or another, and what goes on with them has an impact on you. So what happens each time a new person walks in here to join in serious conversation or frolic or compassionate service to others? Our web vibrates at a higher level. There's an interdependence of all phenomena. If you study Buddhism and you go further than just this, you'll hear about phenomena, but the phenomena is part of what we're all a part of, and it displays an authentic experience of acceptance. Some of the stressors are lightened for each of us as we make the effort to be part of community on Sunday morning, and it grows so that we feel a little lighter because of community. And another individual is given an opportunity to expand their support circle. The damsels and the princes and the neighbors are welcomed and often become part of transformative love, radical love. It's felt inside of these walls, and it literally saves lives. You are part of it, and we appreciate it. Victoria Erickson gives these closing words for us. Consider soulmates to also be in the form of friends and animals, in the wind, the tides, the plants, pieces of art, and the moon. The great love lives everywhere. It even lives on the back of the lions' helmets that said, "Be love." May we have a great Sunday together. May we participate in transformative love, and may our antenna be open to all of that as we stand up and create a circle, please.